The technical answer on Bitcoins is that Bitcoins is a remarkable cryptographic achievement. And the ability to create something which is not duplicable in the digital world has enormous value.
And hard.
Very hard, but it's incredibly useful for many, many computer applications. So without commenting on whether the Bitcoins will get regulated, because you're the expert, not, and you guys are the expert, not me, the Bitcoin architecture, literally the ability of having these ledgers that can't be replicated, is an amazing advance, and lots of people will build businesses on top of that. The Snowden revelations did a real number on our relations with a whole bunch of countries. Think about Germany, Germany, for example. And Cheryl and I have been spending lots of time dealing with the consequences and the perception of American NSA activities and so forth. And this is a good example of what will happen in the future, because countries aren't going to stop spying on each other. And no one quite knows how to solve this problem. An example is a couple weeks ago, Angela Merkel indicated that she would be in favor of actually having data localization within Germany, which sounds like a great political thing, but it's one, not workable, two, it breaks the internet, and is a very bad idea for the German citizens. We're facing similar issues for both companies.
And for citizens all over the world.
We're facing similar issues in Brazil for both companies and so forth. So I don't think we've quite figured out all the consequences of that on the government sense. You ultimately have to say to citizens, we will keep your information private. You have to decide, you have a responsibility for how much you want to disclose, where you want to disclose it. You can't just blindly assume that it's the old model. The new model has a lot more subtlety in it. You've got to create an environment where incumbents can't block new entrants. So you have to have a place, right, some place where startups can flourish, where the regulators won't kill them. Most industries are highly regulated, and without passing judgment, the regulators and the regulatees have gotten to know each other really well. And the new startups, the incumbents, the new ideas, they're not at the table. So an awful lot of the regulations tend to favor the incumbents or the structural incumbents. You got to fix that. Maybe there are limits to what the internet can do. Maybe there are some problems that not even the internet
At the Computer History Museum, you're willing to say such a bold statement?
I think Syria and Ukraine offer two really compelling examples of a bug that exists in our techno-optimism. If you look at Syria, you have 150,000 people who've been killed, millions of refugees flooding across the border, chemical weapons used on at least 3 different occasions that we know of. And yet, there's no shortage of videos coming out of Syria. Each one of those videos is more horrific than the one that came before it. The government is setting up checkpoints to look at people's phones and see what exists on their various profiles.
In the 1980s, women were getting 35 to 37% of the computer science degrees. We're down to 13. If you believe this is important, if you believe the wage gap matters, if you understand that technology jobs are so important to future employment and they're better paid, you have to worry about equality, you have to worry about the wage gap increasing. There's a lot to worry about with women not being in computer science.
This is a real national crisis for America, and there are plenty of fields where they have figured this out. A classic example is in biology, where a majority of scientists are now women. So it is possible to do this. We've got to come up with a consensus of how we're going to guide this. We need the IQ, we need the talent. We're still fighting the wars the old way rather than the new way. So all of our interventions seem to basically involve trying to deal with the citizens. What's the best thing that you can do for the citizens? Empower them. One of the things that the internet can do is can empower individuals. The natural strengths of the society can come out. Why don't we build those wireless networks? The life of autocratic dictators is going to get a lot worse. The empowerment of the individual, because of the technology that we all build, is a new problem for them. They can't shut the internet down completely. If you do that, the middle class assumes you're really scared and picks the other side. We talk about this in the book. So the reality is you have to work with the internet, which means your citizens are going to get empowered. It's a race between the good guys and the bad guys. In a situation where the technology can be militarized and used to really hurt people, the technology can allow for scale and damage. Right? And there are a number of possible scenarios there. And I worry about that. I worry that that's a race and that we don't fully understand some of the platforms and implications of things that we might be doing that might empower evil people. The second one is the jobs question. And there, the race is the race between computers and humans. And by the way, I'm clearly on the human side on this. The humans have to win. And the reason the humans have to win is that the things that are uniquely human, judgment, creativity, and so forth, have to shine while many of these infrastructures are getting built. And the human systems to deal with human failings, governments, and so forth, have to be updated. And I worry that it's not happening fast enough.